I'm going to talk with somebody about sociopathic tendencies. I've talked to a handful of guests here. There's Lisa, who's the porn star who has no emotional connection with anybody. There's Marianne Margaret, who needs to always have that reassurance. And there's Beth, which is my last relationship that I had. And she cultivates a lot of trauma just by herself, which is kind of interesting. And I talked to Beth's ex-boyfriend. I also talked to a young lady named Brittany, who usually cuts my hair. And, of course, my sister, who you heard a couple times that, I help her in some relationship issues, as well as other people who write in or call in. Those of you who don't know, I have an after-hours line, which is 330-518-1294, and you're welcome to text or call in and leave a message, and we can talk about certain specific topics or anything related to what we've talked about in all these episodes. Just be aware that your voice may appear on this podcast, and you can also email at advice, the number 4, YOU and me at gmail.com. So there's many ways to contact me or respond or even add comments to any of the streaming services. Okay, going back to what we were talking about, we are going to talk about sociopathic tendencies and borderline personality disorders. And that's with someone that I had a relationship with. When you see a car crash and you can't really look away, it becomes hard for me not to try to understand this person who clearly has destructive issues. But it's almost like, I want to understand it in order to move past certain things or certain traumas that are in my past. And that's the approach that I want to go through with my podcasts. I mean, you've heard me talk about this person, Beth, over and over and over again. You'll notice, Lisa got jealous for some reason because, I kept on talking about a relationship that revolved around her. I talked a lot to Beth's ex-boyfriend, and it's just interesting to me on all of these traits and all of this trauma is compacted in this one person that kind of destroyed my life in a way that, nobody manipulated me that much or lied that much to me ever. So it's hard for me to understand why and what's the purpose. Beth tries and tries to improve herself, and she realizes a lot of things while me and her are talking or while we were in and out of a relationship. She realizes that she has traits of borderline personality disorder. She lies quite a bit. She called herself an asshole at one point, and she's very negative on herself because of her past issues, her relationship with her father, and the way people treat her. But she's looking for something to almost satisfy herself and make her happy in this life, or in this so-called life. And she can't find it. Well, she found a lot of the traits, or most of the traits with me. At least that's what she said, unless she's just lying to me like she normally lies to everybody else. So who knows what's real and what's not real, because she's a really good salesman. So let's talk about what is sociopathy.
What is sociopathy? So having sociopathic traits, when you have borderline personality disorder, would be considered pretty common.
Yeah, but she's very social though. That
doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is that people who have sociopathic traits, they experience emotions differently, and what they do sometimes is because they don't really understand how other people feel emotions, they they learn how to pretend. So they put on a good show. You wouldn't know that they don't feel the way that you feel. And you were saying how she's a good actor or whatever you just said. And what I'm saying is that, yeah, that could be what's going on with her. I mean,
No, she'll convince you that her side is the right side, which, the real thing.
yeah, they're manipulative and they're I mean, I don't remember all the traits, but I mean, yeah, it sounds like something that, when she puts on a good show, I mean, she's pretending to feel a certain way and pretending to show you that she feels that way, but she doesn't really feel things the way that you feel things, because it's part of her condition, it's part of her affliction, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but her problems are real. Like, she always goes back to, I lied about my age, which we've solved that like 4 or 5 years ago. And I thought she accepted it, but, it's almost like she's bringing it back up just to retaliate against me. When she's done a lot more damage, and she's not even looking at, I don't know. It's like,
well, the irony is that she's talking. I think I remember now. She was talking about gaslighting and how she's been a victim of gaslighting.
yeah,
And she's effectively doing that to you. She was a victim that turned into the abuser.
yeah, but she doesn't see it that way.
It's funny that it's ironic that she talks about that and she doesn't see. She's not self-aware enough to see that, to see what she's doing, which is kind of sad, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
She doesn't really know herself that well.
Yeah, she doesn't see that she's gaslighting at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, so whatever. I mean, I get where she's coming from. She was a victim, and she probably wasn't born this way. Like, sociopathy is learned, or traits of sociopathy, and I think that's part of being borderline and antisocial personality disorder and that stuff. And it's something that's learned, and usually it's learned early on in life based on some kind of trauma. And we were talking about trauma just the other day, and trauma was probably the trigger that turned her into the kind of person that she is.
Well, she has a lot of trauma with her father, because her father treated her in a certain way.
Whatever the trauma is, I mean, that's what. Yeah, that could trigger her condition. But she had some kind of abuse when she was a kid or something.
Yeah, her father abused her and did a lot of things, and yeah, he was manipulative, and she learned all those traits from him, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it could be. The victim becomes the abuser. I mean, in the video, she was talking about that one guy that first guy that she dated who supposedly, gaslighted her. It sounds like he did. It sounds like he was an asshole, and he lied to her, and for some reason she stuck around. I'm remembering now, and she kind of blames him for everything, for the the state of her relationships, her, why she has this distrust of other people, and so and she kind of said that was the catalyst, but it could actually go farther back to like her father, like you were just saying. So who knows?
Well, she's dated two.
Who the fuck knows?
Well, I know. I mean, I know her past history in depth. I mean, she dated 2 guys that were married. One she knew that was married, and she continued to date him for 4 years.
she made bad choices. If she chose to ignore her reality, and and when you make bad choices, then you suffer the consequences of those choices. That's just what it is.
Yeah, but then I suffered the consequences because of her past.
Yeah, yeah. She became her problems became your problems, and like I said, the victim became the abuser, and she's just passing it on. She's just taking this negativity and passing it on to other people, and not realizing she's doing it. And I don't even know. It's probably not even intentional. It's just the way she is. I mean, she probably can't even differentiate between the way she is and I don't know. It's a gray area.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, no, but she still has that personality disorder where she's splitting. I don't know if you know that phrase.
What is it?
It's called splitting.
No, I don't think I'm familiar with it. What is that?
Well, splitting is for her. There's no gray area. There's extreme highs and extreme lows, but nothing in between.
Right. Yeah. It's very black and white thinking.
Right.
Yeah, that's about right. There's no in between. It's just something is or it isn't a certain way. And that sounds like a common trait for the kind of thing that she's got.
Yeah. Yeah, one wrong move and then that's it, man. There's no gray area, there's no excuses, and she's
Same thing with Andre. Yeah, same thing with Andre. It's like he'll just say, there's no gray area. It's like it's either the right way or the wrong way, and that's it. And he decides which one it is, and then it is what it is, and then it's like, and that's the way it is for him. He doesn't. There's no. It's just a different. It's a very alien way of perspective for people that don't normally think that way. I mean, I suppose I've been the kind of person that would trying to cook at the same time and talk. I'm the kind of in the past I have been guilty of very black and white thinking, very just I get too many things floating around in my head. But yeah, because all or nothing thinking, I think, is what they call it, and it has a lot to do with like my mental health and stuff, and like in the past I would see things in a certain way, and it would just be like, well, that's just I can't think of any specific examples, but I feel like I was guilty of thinking that way in the past. But obviously, my condition is not as potentially malevolent or abrasive as somebody who is borderline or antisocial personality disorder. I have a nicer. I'm not mean to people. I don't hurt other people. But anyway, whatever. Yeah. So you call it splitting? I've never heard that before, but I have heard it called other things.
Oh. Yeah, I don't understand why you can't, so to say, step in other people's shoes and understand that's, this isn't something I should destroy somebody else's life with. It's almost like
you wonder why people like her or even Andre do and say things that hurt other people and they don't realize they're doing it.
Well, for Beth, it sounds like she knows she's doing the wrong thing, but she does it anyways. or
And that is a common trait of sociopathy, is that because they have a sense of empathy, but it's weak. It's not very strong. So they are aware at some level that what they're doing is not right, but they do it anyway because at the end of the day they don't care enough to not do it.
yeah, it's almost like
Because it's yeah.
well,
It's apathy.
Beth mentions that she thinks that she's too selfish sometimes.
That's probably very true. So
Yeah, yeah, because she's just realizing that she lost her kids over some guy that she fell in love with and that destroyed her life.
okay.
So, she wished she worked out something with her husband, which she was unhappy in a lot of different ways with her ex-husband, at least.
Well, another thing about people that have borderline and antisocial personality disorder is that they don't have a lot of successful relationships. All their relationships are, if they have any relationships at all, they're all troubled. They're all problematic. So, I mean, she doesn't know how to engage with other people in a way that best suits her agenda, or best suits everybody's agenda.
Well, here's a funny example that I wanted to tell you, that I want to share with you. See, I was at Beth's house as a friend, and she was trying to get back with this guy Rob. I mean, she's totally in love with this guy named Rob.
The one who had her kids, or she had kids with?
No, that's her ex-husband. So this is some other guy. This is the guy
Yeah.
that ruined her relationship with her husband. So
Yeah.
she's this guy Rob doesn't give her the time of day, but she goes after him over and over again. And she said, "Well, I can't take this relationship anymore. So let's just be friends and let's talk and just be like that, because I can't take the stress of you're not giving me the time of day." So a week goes by, and she calls Rob, and she goes, "Hey, can we plan something that we can be together just for an hour or so?" And, he's not sure because he has his kids. I think he's got like 4 kids. So then she gets upset because in my head she's thinking that she wants that relationship with him, but she told him, let's just be friends. So it's almost like she's setting him up for her to fail. But once she found out that
Another form of manipulation.
he didn't want any time with her because he's spending time with his kids, she automatically thought that, oh, his kids are more important than me. And then she got so frustrated that he didn't want to be with her. She was screaming at the top of her lungs, and she got so frustrated. She just blocked his number. But that didn't last long because, you fast forward to today and they're talking again. But she sets herself up to fail. She kind of did that to me. She set me up to fail. And,
Well, sociopaths, they're not necessarily, they're generally, like you have sociopaths and you have psychopaths. And psychopaths, completely are devoid of any empathy. And some of the most successful people in the world are psychopaths because psychopathy lends itself to being a good businessman, being successful in business, because you don't have any of those emotions that are holding you down when you can make the hard decisions and you can do things that other people don't have the stomach for. And you don't let things bother you, and you so you're successful. Now, sociopaths are which is more, I think, in aligned with what with Beth is are people that they share a lot of some similar traits as psychopaths, but they're generally not as prone. They're not as successful, and I don't remember exactly why, but I think it's because they have. I guess they do have a weak sense of empathy, and I guess they also I guess they must have I don't know exactly why, but I remember reading that. So I guess they must have a tendency to self-sabotage. So the same, the way they treat other people is kind of the way they treat themselves as well, and it's not I don't know, something like that. I'm talking, but the whole thing with that other guy is just she keeps going back to him because she wants him and she doesn't understand why he doesn't want her, and she can't respect that, and so it's just another form of manipulation where she's saying what she thinks he wants to hear in order to make him do what she wants him to do. And when it doesn't work, she gets frustrated, but she doesn't realize what she's doing, so she just keeps trying. And it's psycho. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, if somebody tells you want to be friends, why would you make an effort to spend more time with them?
Because that's not what she wants. She wants to be able to control him, and clearly he's not letting her. Good for him. And I don't know. Did you watch that court case with, or did you hear about it with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I watched some of that because there was like live streaming YouTube stuff, and so Amber Heard is according to the doctor in court. So, and if you follow the case, and it's just, I don't know, it's one of those things where you can't look away. It's like when you see a car crash, you can't stop, you can't help but look.
Yeah.
And so Amber Heard is borderline, and her thing is she can't seem to as much as her and Johnny Depp drive each other crazy, she can't stay away from him. She doesn't want to stay out. She keeps coming back to it because that's what she wants, and she feels like she can impose her will on other people and make other people want what she wants. And when she can't, she gets frustrated, but it doesn't deter her, and she keeps trying. And it's like this, it's like this crazy sight. It's like, it's like up from a movie or something where you have a woman who's just obsessed with you and she just won't stop. And it's because they want what they want, and they want you to want what they want too, but I don't know. Something along those lines. I don't know.
Yeah.
Got completely focused on. I'm trying to cook here, but anyway. I don't know if that made any sense what I just said. Hopefully it did.
Yeah, I'm still here. It's just, I don't know, it's just weird to me that she's...
Well, it is. It's completely, it's completely normal to not understand why somebody like her does what she does, because it's so foreign to you and to how you would conduct your life similar things that she's doing. It's hard to comprehend that somebody could be like that, and yet they are. There's no way to really understand how they think because you don't think that way. So you're never really going to really understand her. If you're trying to understand her, the best you can do is understand that to acknowledge that she is the way that she is, and even though you can't really empathize, or it doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense to you, it's still true.
Well, it makes sense how she grew up. It's just, I don't know, it's just...
I mean, why does anybody hurt anybody else? I mean, it's because they have issues. And if you're not hurting other people, you probably don't understand those issues. If you're not the kind of person that hurts other people in whatever way you might hurt somebody, then it's hard for you to understand why. I mean, you can hear about their stories and everything, and how they were abused, physically, emotionally, whatever. But at the end of the day, you'll never really understand why they still justify hurting other people. Because to them, because it's not something you would do. But they do it, and they either don't realize it or they don't care. And that's
No, I think she did. I think she did realize it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. They do have a weak sense of empathy, and so they are aware on some level that what they're doing is wrong, but they don't care enough to not continue to do it. They'll continue to hurt people or do the wrong thing, even if they know it's the wrong thing, because it's like impulse control. They want what they want. They don't care enough. There's not enough holding them back. They're more. As far as they're concerned, it makes more sense for them to do what they're doing than to not do what they're doing, even though they realize that they shouldn't be doing it. I don't know if I'm explaining that well.
No, it kind of makes sense.
But yeah, it's awareness is on some level is about right. But it's the fact that they don't, even though they know what they're doing is wrong, they keep doing it because there isn't something there's a certain part of them that's missing, that's in other people, that just it's not able to. It's not that's not able to. Heed that warning or whatever, and to stop acting in a negative way. It's just like body chemistry. It's the way they're wired.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they can't change. The thing with psychopaths can't change. They're born that way. People that have sociopathic tendencies, like borderline personality, antisocial personality disorder, they have the capacity to change. The problem is that people that do have sociopathic traits, they don't want to change. They don't want to change, and they don't necessarily think anything is wrong with them. Or they may think, or they may have some awareness that something is wrong with them. But again, they have whatever is going on in their head, whatever that, they don't have the will to, they don't care enough. They're indifferent to the point where they just don't have enough empathy to be able to control themselves.
I can understand the fact that she can't control herself, or at least get herself in a happy space, so to say. But there's no reason why she should drag me into her drama. I'm like, at one point, she called me, what was the name? Narcissistic. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I had to look that word up, and this was a long time ago. And I'm like, I'm not narcissistic. So while we were in a relationship, I bought her and her kids a house. I bought herself a ring. I bought her, she wanted a gazebo, so I bought her that. She likes water sounds, so that's how she sleeps. So I got her a fountain. I built her a fountain in the back of our house, and I purchased a fountain inside the house. And we have a lot of things in common. Like we can associate ourselves with a lighthouse in many ways. We can associate ourselves with growing up with a chess set. I mean, there's a lot of little things that we can associate ourselves with that we have fun with. We both like to dress up in costume. We both like a lot of things. I mean, there's a list of more than 100 things that we have in common. But she manipulates things so much, it's interesting. What I've done for her has nothing to do with being narcissistic or selfish or any of that. To me, that's exactly the opposite, because I don't need all these items. I don't need this big house. So I'm not sure why she even went that route. It's like, why would she call me narcissistic when she's the one who has those traits? And she's shown them and she's acknowledged it, but she doesn't fix it. So a lot of times, she was actually the cause of a lot of the drama, not a lot of the drama, but a lot of the trauma just by herself.
Well, and then the other thing is, like, who hasn't had a lot of damage in their life?
I mean, I think my theory is, a lot of people stay in relationships because they talk about what if. What if I can change this person into somebody that I want to be with instead of these little annoyances here and there, which a lot of times just people don't change unless they really want to. But most people just don't. I see that a lot of people like challenges. And at least for me in the dating scene, I'm not really a challenge. I like to do a lot of things. I don't cause a lot of drama. A lot of times I'm a good listener, but I can talk if there's a good topic, and I can talk about deep topics, which a lot of people just don't. But I can joke at the same time. I can have fun. I can make fun of myself. But I find that nobody really cares. I mean, it doesn't really matter how you look. It doesn't really matter if you have muscles or no muscles, or you're a tall, thin model blonde, or you're a dark-haired, dark-eyed, handsome man. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have a big belly, not a big belly. It matters that the connection is there, that you can relate in a lot of issues. Because I've gone through this for years and years and years. And it really doesn't matter. Even though these date sites are focused on how you look, of course there's, you have to be attractive somewhat, but the personality actually overpowers everything else and makes you look good. So a great personality makes the other person a more handsome or more beautiful person and make you want to come towards them, so to say. But I still think a lot of commonality at least gets you started, gets that spark started, and get that interest going, and get you going towards each other. So I think that those are parts of the keys to having a good relationship, whether you have trauma or not. You're more than welcome to contribute. If you want to call in, you can call in at 330-510-1294. You can also text You can also email at advice, the number 4, you and me at gmail.com. You're more than welcome to be a guest if you want to, and we can talk about issues or your relationship with any person that you're with. And we can go through a real therapy session, so to say. Or we can just make fun of me, and I'm more than happy to laugh at myself. So sorry to cut this short, but until next time, we will see you later.